Thank you, Mr. Chair. America's competitive advantage over the rest of the world can be summed up in 3 I's. First, investment. America's singular capacity for capital formation. The U.S. alone accounts for half of the world's capital. Second is immigration. America's singular ability to attract people and talent from across the globe to drive both our entrepreneurial and our essential workforce. And the third is innovation. America is a nation of intrepid investors and immigrants who drive innovation. As a country, we are in danger of squandering our greatest competitive advantages that the CCP could never dream of rivaling if we here in Congress build the political will necessary for unleashing the power of investment, immigration, and innovation to their fullest productive potential. In the end, our greatest enemy is not the CCP. Our greatest enemy is ourselves. It is the deepening dysfunction and maddening myopia of a politics that prevents America from becoming the best version of itself. America at its best can outcompete any adversary anywhere, including the CCP. Simply put, the 21st century is ours to lose. Dr. Schmidt, your team at SCSP points out that in 1620, Francis Bacon, one of the fathers of science, identified 3 revolutionary technologies in his time: printing, gunpowder, and the compass. In the spirit of Francis Bacon, Dr. Schmidt, tell us, what are the 3 most revolutionary technologies of our time? Which country is leading in those 3 fields, the United States or China? And how do we win in those 3 fields? And please do not include soybeans from South Dakota in your answer. So.
Well, I'm a big soybean fan, so...
I approve that message.
So there are many candidates for your answer, but I think a simple list is quantum, AI, and biology. Quantum, because quantum is a whole new world of computation and communications and scale that is just beginning to be powerful. I would score us as somewhat ahead, but not very far ahead. We might be even. And as an example of what China's done, they launched a satellite which entangled essentially 2 photons that were entangled when they arrived on land 2,000 miles away, which is an extraordinary achievement. The U.S. has not done that yet, so that's of concern. In AI, as I've mentioned, there's every reason to think that they have more people working on AI, they understand its strategic initiatives, the sanctions that were put in place have helped us, but I think that that's a temporary advantage. And then in synthetic biology, and there was a discussion about this earlier, and for all of you, you should understand that synthetic biology ultimately means that America will grow many of the things that we manufacture today. Growing them is obviously more energy efficient, it's more climate friendly, but it's also another interesting thing. We have an awful lot of biomass in our country, especially in the Midwest and the more rural states. So here you have a technology which can revolutionize the job loss and the migration into cities by creating this enormously interesting set of industries in each of the states of our heartland. That is both a politically good thing for America, but it's a good economic choice. We need to win all 3 of those.
Who's winning in synthetic biology so far?
So far, I'd say we're slightly ahead.
So we're slightly ahead in quantum, slightly ahead in AI, slightly ahead in synthetic biology.
And when I say slightly, if I may, we're talking about a year or 2, not very long.
Or some would say a few months with respect to AI.
Yeah, depending on who you ask.
The Biden administration has put in place export controls that prevent the transfer of the most advanced semiconductors to the CCP. In response to those export controls, NVIDIA designed new chips specifically for China, H800. Is the H800 sufficiently advanced to enable China to be competitive with the United States in AI?
So the H800 is not shipping yet, but the conventional wisdom is that you need 3 of them for every H100 which we're using. So one way to understand it is that China will need 3 chips to 1. And that's a fairly significant delay because these chips are hard to install, hard to program, and so forth. It's all very difficult stuff. China has some other disadvantages in AI. One of the things that people don't understand is that innovation is a repetitive game. They've not been doing it enough, whereas, for example, in Taiwan and chips, they've been doing it so well, they've really learned how to scale it. And the third disadvantage that people don't appreciate with China is that we're training on English language, and there's not as much Chinese language for them to learn from. So those advantages, I think, are at least a few years of advantages. And I think that the current policy, which allows the H800, which is essentially network speed gapped, it's slower, is probably an acceptable compromise.